Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and we're here for part 2 of how to paint this gorgeous fantasy face. We broke this down into 2 parts because it's kind of a complex painting. It was a free design that I recorded a while back that you guys really asked for a tutorial for. So this was how I could figure out how to give a weird complex tutorial to you guys like this, step by step. We're going to have all the usual stuff. If you check the description, it will be done in steps and time stamped. Also today, we're going to be taking all this down, so those timestamps will become part of the mini book, which are the written instructions to this video. They come out 7 to 14, 21 days after the show. It's really just, we have to write them based on the show, so that takes a little second, but we do get those up and for free. So if you're like, man, if I just had a little more help, I would have nailed it, that book might be the resource that you need. Just in case you came here because the algorithm recommended it to you, I'll go over the materials again so you know what we're using. I've got an 8x8 canvas here. The paint on the tablet is Mars Black. I got. Sorry. Gotta make me small.
You're just like right. You're just like bang, bang, bang. We're going.
Ooh, let's get into it, right? I'm like part 2.
Co-host.
Hi, Paint by Bobby.
No, nothing. You're not even like. I'm going straight to paint.
I'm just ready to paint today.
You are. I'm ready. I'm ready with you.
Fresh,
I'm just surprised.
Fresh. Mars Black. I put out a little extra titanium white. Dioxazine Purple. I don't think I'm going to use the quinacridone magenta, but it's here. It was a mix-up that I had yesterday, but it's on the palette, so that's what that is. Cad Red medium, titanium white. This gloop is golden glazing liquid. It's a blending medium. I only recommend this product, this brand, Golden Artist Colors Gloss Glazing Liquid. You can get it in semi, you can get it in satin, you can get it in gloss, you could get it in matte. That doesn't matter. What you want is their glazing liquid by Golden. It's just, other products are named that, but they are not that. Phthalo Blue, Phthalo Green, Titanium White, and Cad Yellow mediums. That's what we are working on. And we're going to continue on kind of refining and designing and working on this face, taking it all the way to finish. We're going to finish up today, and I expect it to take about the same as yesterday. If you're here for the live show, put your questions all in caps. That's for 2 reasons, guys. The first reason is that it lets us know that it's a question. It's a good visual cue. We won't think you're yelling at us. But you'll see a bunch of moderators here. Those are the people with the wrenches. They're not just the cool kids. They are viewers just like you, many of whom volunteer their time here. And the reason they become moderators is they know where all the videos are. So their job isn't to be an art cop. They are here to be art ambassadors, to help you feel welcome, to help you feel heard, and to help you find resources. So when you put your questions all in caps, that helps them know that that's a question we have, and they can start their little busy work of looking up videos and sharing links with you and sharing resources with you and maybe giving you advice because they watched a lot of videos. I may, however, answer your live question in the show. They also take all those questions and drop them to John, and sometimes he checks that document, and we ask the question in the show. So your question might be asked live. What happens if you're here later? Put it in the comments below. I check my questions every single day and try to get to as many as I can. And so there's a very good chance I will see it. And I'm not here just to get subscribers and likes and views. Though I do like those things like everybody else. I'm actually here to be an art teacher. And so if you have a question, I will do my best to answer it and help you through your frustration.
No, we're on step 10, right?
I don't know. You know that. Earlier. I'm not.
Yeah, I pre-step because I thought you were going I thought you were going straight
into.
Yeah,
I like to throw you with my timing. So I like to throw you.
We're in the 10.
Right.
And I'm going to ask everybody to give us a thumbs up while you're here.
While you're here.
Right down at the bottom. Give us a thumbs up.
Give us a thumbs up while you're here. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do while we're all here, it's not necessary that it be this brush, but I'm going to get a brush fairly wet. And I'm going to bring some blue over, some Phthalo Blue over to my Dox Purple. And I'm going to wet it a little bit more than maybe I normally would unless I was doing a drip. I am going to take my splatter tool. Does this look like a toothbrush? Yes. Would a toothbrush work? Yes. You wouldn't want to brush your teeth with this brush. This is an actual art brush. It's very stiff filament. Sometimes I think there's a couple places that may have a Galaxy set left or 2. They're really like barely any out on the market anymore. We'll probably offer another one. You could just use a stiff brush. If this type of splatter makes you nervous, you could do this by hand. And I have a video on splatter of different ways to splatter. So we have you covered wherever you're at. I'm going to go ahead and get this a little bit wet. because I actually want it to be sort of light. And I'm going to very lightly, and you can see it is a light load this, and I'm going to just splatter a little bit across the nose and cheeks, some very little wet freckles. See those little freckles?
It's a light freckling.
It's a light freckling. Not what happened to me by nature. I did not get a light freckling. But now they're in, so that's crazy. Freckles are finally in. Let me tell you, when I was a kid, they were not. I'm cleaning up freckles where I don't want them to be. Like if I have an area where I'm like, dude, I don't want freckles there. I'm just kind of cleaning those up. And then you can always come back with your brush. This is a number 10 Textura. And I can also put some sort of larger irregular shape freckles. See how I'm doing that? This is kind of, if you do makeup and you're like, how do I do freckles? You can actually do this. You can do this with this. My kids have figured out how to do this with the splatter brush and paint. They can do the same thing. So I'm just going to make sure that those have that sort of like freckly look that I'm hoping for, you know, that I'm going for. I'll make some of them sort of big and irregular shaped. I think that that's kind of how freckles can be. So there we go. Now I am going to dry that with my hair dryer, and when we come back, we're going to do the next step.
All right. And wow, I just saw that Carol joined our patronage, so thank you very much, Carol. I get like these weird, cool notifications sometimes when people join our patronage on the website, and so it's serendipitous that I get to see them come in during the live because I can thank you. So hopefully you're here, and thank you. And thank to all the people who are a member of our patronage. We really love it, really appreciate it. It helps support our show and do what we can do here to make all this stuff free for everybody else, which is kind of like what we love doing. So thank you. And
Woohoo!
Dry.
Dry, dry.
Now we have to do a next step now.
Yes. I'm going to sip some coffee.
It's the 11th step.
The 11th step, coffee time. But first, coffee.
But first, always coffee.
But first, always coffee. It's, you know, and I've been drinking coffee so long that I've gone through, it's bad for you, it's good for you, it's bad for you, it's good for you. And then now I have kids, so, but depending on what they watched on TikTok, it's bad for me, it's good for me, it's bad for me.
I'm very sure it's good for you because in all of the post-apocalyptic movies, they all drink coffee to survive.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So it's got to be good for me, right?
That's absolutely true.
Okay, so I'm going to take my number 1 lining brush, and I'm going to come here and kind of lighten up my purple. Now, if you just came in here right now, it's Dox Purple and a little bit of Cad Red over here. That's how we're getting these mixes. Sometimes some blue gets into it, but that was our base mix.
Thank you, Heather.
And I'm going to kind of brush this out. There's a nice bit of the Dox and the Cad Red. And I'm going to come along this little lip here. Kind of cleaning up this line. I actually like my lips and nose on this one a little better than the first one.
Yeah, I always like how, you know, to see evolutions as you paint them.
I'm grabbing a little bit of darker color to blend in that line. Yeah, there definitely is. I'm going to grab a little bit of a darker color to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to struggle to see. I got an interesting question. It was weird, but I'm going to answer it. I normally wouldn't answer a question like this. I was asked if it was vanity why I wasn't wearing my glasses more.
Oh.
And, you know, no, it's forgetfulness.
Yeah, I would absolutely concur with that. That it's just to be completely honest with you guys, Cinnamon is so preoccupied all the time with what she's doing for you guys next, or reading something, or like she's writing
a little bit of dark shadow here at the corners.
The next color series that she's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna need to have this stuff for the next show, but she's been working all day on the thing for the next show, and so
yeah, I get distracted. It's really not you know, I'm just gonna again respond to this. Yes, some influencers are probably quite vain. And it may seem like all influencers are super vain, I guess,
Because
depending on where it is.
they defy the human process where just like we all get older and eyes need glasses.
I think what it is that sometimes social media gets, I'm going to take another little bit and sort of shadow here. I think sometimes what happens is social media gets a little bit overwhelming and starts to feel a little less authentic. But I've been on YouTube for 7 years, 8 years, something like that.
I think it's longer than 2013 was when we put our first one.
No, 2014. 2014.
Yeah, 2014 is when we were really going.
Yeah. So 2014 was the first video on December, I think. Oh, we can go look at it.
Yeah.
John and I disagree on this a bunch. But regardless, we were on YouTube when it was considered insane to be on YouTube.
We were just... It was such an honest response from Cinnamon too, because she was teaching these classes.
I'm going to add this highlight here. So what I'm looking to do is create a shadow through this lip here. Shadows here. Little shadow run here and through here. And then I'm adding the highlights in the upper lip, here at the turn, here. The highlights will be more focused over here on the right. The shadows will be a little more focused over on the depth. And I'm going to be working through tinting this Dioxazine Purple, Cad Red with white, or shading it with the mix of Dox Purple and Phthalo Blue. Just to give you guys an idea, because I'm going to be doing a lot of micro things, but maybe if I point out what it is I'm doing, it will be easier to follow.
I have such a good surprise for you.
I wasn't trying to silence you, babe.
Oh, no, I know.
I just realized I was doing a lot of stuff.
I know you were. And that's why I was like trying to hold my tongue here, even though Ian, our off-kilter crafter friend,
Ian.
has just come in, and I wanted to say hello.
We miss you, Ian.
I believe
Ian is amazing.
Is deep in the world of science and history and like wonderful learned things that
Ian is always up to something great. He has a really great channel, the Off Kilter Crafter, and he's been on my show a few times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's brought crafts for me. We used to do Thanksgiving together.
We Thanksgiving together occasionally.
And we would have a Thanksgiving show, and we would do the show together. It was fun. I miss
Our
those
moms
days.
have met.
Our moms have met.
That's a serious. You get to serious friendship. Our moms have met.
Yeah, my mom Ginger, and his mom have met, and we met his aunt, and it is just wonderful. I'm just continuing to just to find this a little bit more. Sometimes I find that these little touches actually do make a big deal in how we perceive our painting. So I like to spend that time. And when I'm doing something like this, and I'm not trying to paint to an algorithm that's looking for me to spend a certain amount of time or have a certain amount of retention, when I'm just painting for myself, which this original design was, I was playing with this for a minute.
Yep. It has, and you see, did push that too fast.
Oh, have I ever painted on Santorini stones? I would love to try to send the Sherpa one. I have painted on them a little bit, and I love them. They're an amazing surface. I would normally paint me stone, send me stone. The only reason I'm going to say don't send me stone is I'm moving to Ireland, and I have a weight limit on my luggage. And also I'm going to be close to Santorini.
Stones are heavy.
Yeah, they're real heavy, so I wouldn't be able to take them on the plane at all. But I love that idea, and I agree they are beautiful. And I could probably find one locally. I actually got some rocks to paint on. I thought it'd be fun to do watercolor on rocks. Show everyone how to do watercolor on rocks, and then I don't know what happened. I started my watercolor kit there, and then I got distracted. As per the usual, I'm getting into the Dox Purple and the blue, and I'm just wanting to kind of exaggerate a couple of the shadows here. And see, when you look at it, you can see it really just starts to help it all come to life.
But you've done these kinds of faces. This is really kind of a you, I've seen this from you for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Now,
this particular one, I realized I didn't answer this yesterday, but I think I was asked it. I did several, John saw this on my iPad using the pencil tool. I did several digital studies of eyes, of noses, and mouths, like to warm up to this painting.
Yeah.
And those studies were where I based all of this off of. You know.
Yeah, Ian, I was actually having that entire play in my head. Like, yeah, I've got to carry 200 pounds of stone pallets with me on the airplane.
We're like just trying to figure out how to make sure we get the equipment there so that we can start filming right away. It's going to be really interesting. We're using a moving service and they're going to help us find a place. But it really is going to be about where the kids can go to school.
Yes.
Because we're doing everything by the book, by the numbers.
School gets picked first, and then once you're accepted into a school, then
I am using a lot more white into my purple mix now, and I'm making short, irregular lines that imply the creases in the lip highlights. Okay, we can go back because I'm going to be doing this for a minute. I'm going to be doing it across here.
Okay, let me zoom in there.
Still using the number 1 monogram liner. I'm hoping Ian will come visit us in Ireland for a Thanksgiving. And we'll do a show in Ireland, like old-timey sake.
Yeah, I think it would be awesome.
And come here and add a little bit right here, kind of at that little turn where the lip shadow is. That last little roll of the lip. I'm liking this quite a lot. Maybe a little bit on the outside of that. So yeah, we're just trying to figure out like where we're going to live. And I mean, we have a general area we know we're going to be in, but we don't, unless something changes. Like right now we have a firm plan that could be changed by circumstances. Like your kids can't get into school anywhere in this area. Guess what? You're living on the whole other side of the island. Then we would be like,
well, actually,
yes,
so
sir, yes, ma'am. But I think we're pretty good.
Yeah, we're pretty good. We think that the sunny southeast, which is like in primarily the Waterford area.
Yeah.
And then there's Wexford, which is just a little bit south of that. And then there's, towards Cork, as you kind of go west.
And then also towards the coast.
Right. So, and then down, yeah, so that's, and there's lots of cool places. So Bonnie, why I was asking, why are we going to Ireland?
Well, it's just been a dream of ours forever to go. And, we found ourselves in this unusual set of circumstances. I'm going to continue on with my little highlight here on the lip, where our life got sort of reset on us. And we're like, what do you want to do next? Right. We're trying to sort of pivot from some stuff. And we were like, we could just do anything.
We have a lot of freedom at this moment to choose. And, you sort of get in a path in life where you're like, all right, I got to do this, and then I can do this and this, and then I can do this and this. But we realized all of that was leading to a final place where we wanted to move to Ireland. And we realized, hey, what if we just skipped all the other steps and went now? We just sort of looked at each other and we're like, well, let's see if that's possible.
So you can see I've got a deep shadow here, and then I'm lighting the curl of the lip. Isn't that fascinating to see that light?
I do like it.
Yeah, it's good to light the curl of light that curl. So yeah, and I'm glad, and then we found an initial attorney, but as YouTubers, our immigration is much more complex. Yeah. So when we made our announcement video, we learned we needed a different attorney. And we got that person, and they are wonderful. And then we got the Art Sherpa informed over there, so it's formed over there, and we have an employee.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we're all yeah. So it's.
I'm not shouting out your name because I don't want to out you. Because we haven't gotten that consent yet.
That's true.
So I like consent. Do you like consent? I like consent. So it was like I was about to shout you out, and then I was like, you may be being low key. I don't know. So we'll get consent and everything before we name names. But
right.
But we have a person who is working with us over there that we're just really loving and adoring, and has been going really well to help us run the e-commerce business that is opening up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to continue to sort of pull this down, and I'm just trying to broaden that little highlight there. And you can see it does help the lip get some shape, doesn't it? I'm going to kind of dry brush across because I want to lighten the shadow just a smidge. See how it's just light? It's just almost a dry brush and it's lightening that shadow. So instead of having to paint a lighter value, I'm just lightening it that way. And that is lightening those lips. Also doing that there, also lightening those lips. There we go. I feel like the lips are done. Short of our weird final highlights, but I feel like that basic shape is really well considered out. So I'm happy with that. Let's call that a step. And I think I might need a coffee heat.
You want to dry it?
Or
you want to talk?
I don't need to dry it because I'm going up to the eye and I want to talk. So I'm going to do coffee. I'm so excited for y'all in your process. Sorry. I know not a question, just wanted to share love. Well, I'll take the love anytime. I appreciate the support when you guys bring support, you know, like when I do these projects, you guys show up to the lives and make sure that we stay in the algorithms. I really appreciate that. And, you know, all the stuff that you guys do to support what we do here in the free art education. And I know, like, I think a lot about this, like everyone has hung in with us because everybody and their aunt came on the platform, like, at some point, and I think really through COVID because people were just trying to figure out what to do through COVID. So everybody's like, oh, those people are on YouTube. We should all be on YouTube. And so now there's a lot of choices. There's a lot to do. And I always in the beginning was super grateful that anybody gave us a try because who learns art online? And then now you guys have choices about art online. So when you guys show up and hang with us, I'm also very, very, very grateful. John overheated it.
Oh, I just put 30 seconds. I didn't mean to overheat. It was just what 30 seconds did.
Well, Vicky, does she have teeth? She would if her mouth were open, but her mouth is not open. So, no teeth. I have teeth. She would have teeth, but these are just full lips and her mouth is closed. And we'll see that even more as we highlight. But if you see the curve of her lip that goes up and down and her full lip joins into here. So, she's not partially open mouthed. She's fully mouth closed. But that's a good question. And conceptually, she does have teeth. Piano and art is like, I tried to promote you everywhere I could, and I'm not a promoter in life unless I believe in it. Same here. If you see it on my show and I'm talking about it, I love it. Even if I'm friends with the art company, even if they send me stuff. And I always let you guys know what those dynamics are, but you don't see it here unless I like it. And if I don't like it anymore, you don't see it here anymore or hear about it. It just goes away. I try not to bash companies or people and stuff like that, but you know, I just only keep things in that are, you know, lifting up everybody. Oh, and then Lynn's like, please like after the show, share, subscribe, and add to a playlist. That actually all helps all the creators that you know. Right now, all the creators that you know, if you make a point of, and you want to lift them up and see more of them in your feed, all you got to do is when you sign on, you just search them and open their stuff and watch it for a little bit. You like a few things, you comment on a few things, and it will show you more and more of that. We throw John's feed off all the time. Watching animal shows. Right now, I've been watching Girl with the Dog on a big marathon. I always have a show that I'm watching as a marathon, and Girl with the Dog is my new marathon.
My YouTube has no idea who I am or what I like to watch anymore.
It thinks you are very fascinated with dog grooming.
And otters.
And otters. Well, Hannah and Kotaro are my faves. Okay. And I like Fatuba, the shoebill crane, but I don't mention the shoebill because everyone's like, when are you painting the shoebill? And I'm like, I don't know. Okay, we're going to start working on the eye. So let's throw up a step.
I just did.
Okay. I do kind of get a little blue into my mix up here at the eye. So I'm going to bring that down. It just gets a little cooler. Why? Because it can. I'm going to get a little glaze into it. And I'm going to begin to... I'm still using the number 10 texture, and I'll put my glasses on because Seeing is really helpful to painting. And I'm going to come up here with a bit of a highlight and kind of glaze that in. Now I'm using glazing. And the nice thing about glazing, see I wet my brush off, is that you can actually create another type of blend with a glaze. Which can be really, really nice. And push that back just a little bit. Maybe get into my Cad Red and my Dox Purple. And I'm just going to be playing with this shape here. I'm not putting in the eyebrows yet, but I will get those in. Just wanting to kind of pull the lid how I want it. I have hooded lids. So if you have hooded lids, you get this.
And yeah, so there's some double lids and
yeah. My mom has deep lids and has like that ideal for makeup lid. I'm so glad, by the way. I want to thank every makeup tutorial person who is like done makeup tutorials for hooded lids. Thank you so much. Because like I can line my eyes now.
I had no idea really that there were different kinds of eyes until my friend in Korea explained it to me. He was like, "Yeah, that's why our eyes look different." He's like, "Look at my eye, then look at your eye." And I was like, "Holy cow! I have a little fold thing." And he goes, "Yeah,
fold thing.
That's what makes our eyes look different." I was like, I had never really understood that.
Bless your friend for
we were
patient with you.
It was just we were just sitting and talking, having beer things.
Remember when we could all just sit and talk? I remember that. That was a good time. Good times in the world. I'm gonna go ahead and bring some of my phthalo, my Dox Purple and my Phthalo Blue over here, and I'm gonna come underneath this eye and start to kind of talk about maybe a little of that shadow.
It's funny how different parts of the human anatomy evoke emotional responses in different parts of the world that can be unexpected. Like eyes or hair or elbows or ankles. You know, it's just like, wow.
I've lived through several aesthetic trends now because I'm, older than a minute, and I'm going to tell you that people are crazy. We just are.
Freckles, then no freckles.
Freckles, then no freckles. Redheads are terrible. Redheads are cool.
Cleft chins are manly, then not manly.
Yeah, just beards, no beards.
And then there's just people who don't shave.
That's okay too. I don't know. I hope we just get to a place where we're kinder to each other in a significant way, and we make more room for. You remember that song "Free to Be You and Me"?
Yeah.
Yeah, free to be you and me. I wish there was more room. Like, just maybe get our noses off our neighbor's fence line a little bit.
So I'm a big fan of the Ted Lasso philosophy of lead with curiosity.
Yeah.
Because if you're curious,
but not in the thing where you get in your neighbor's biz.
Well, I mean, the curiosity can help or can get cats in trouble.
This is true. But again, if you lead with curiosity instead of leading with judgment and ask questions, I think the world would be much better. And that could just be a perspective I have as an artist, because obviously being an artist impacts what I think about the world. I'm going to get a little bit more of this here and blend this in. You must wonder how long it takes me to do my makeup. Too long. I say you,
Not
too
really.
long. Grabbed a little blue into that and a little white into that mix to just transition that in a micro mix here. Yeah, I think it's going to be up to us. I think it's going to be up to you and me because the thems are not doing a good job. And I think it's about just regular people like you and me, just trying to get through and be nice to each other and helping each other through and recognizing that there's room for everyone to be here. Remember Pete's Dragon? There's room for everyone in the world. Will everyone make some room? Yep. I don't have a music channel for reasons. But I think Pete is right. I'm going to come here with just a little bit of a dark purple, and I'm going to kind of blend that in. I really like doing eyes. I also like doing, I'm glad we did a painting. I love that you guys were like, let's do a painting that we just take the time it takes and we do what we got to do. I love that you guys are about that right now. I don't know how much John loves that, but I love it. I'm going to bring a little fresh white over here. And I'm going to let a little of the purple get in it just to kind of indigo it out a bit. And I'm going to come inside the eye for just a second. Now I'm going to take this much further than it needs to be taken because I've got to put a ridge, a lid in here. But I'm going to take this much further. Yeah. Yeah. Ginger, just so you guys know, they're not just talking about another artist. Ginger is my mom. That's my mom. Is my mom. My mom's on Monday nights. If you want to catch her show. I'm going to take a little bit of my black here and kind of come to this outside edge a little bit. Thinking about. This is a really good brush, y'all. I'm just saying I haven't had to switch down to a small brush. And it lets me get big areas and blend pretty well and all of that. I had ordered these to experiment with them. And this is the 10 Raphael Textur. I like the textures for synthetic paint, you know, acrylic paint a lot. Just trying to get the... So I can come back and kind of hedge in that line and make it super fine. The Bug, thank you for all your teaching and support for learning. Speaking of which, I need to go to work on school stuffs. Big, big hugs. Thank you, The Bug. The Bug actually helps us have a very compassionate community, as that is their expertise. So, you know, that is our jam. I'm going to come here and add a little bit of a highlight.
Jam.
It is, man. If that is not your jam, you will not love us. Like, if you don't like talking, you're not going to love us. If you don't love being kind, tolerant, and inclusive, you probably are not going to dig us because we are really about that.
That's, probably like, you know, most defining thing.
Yeah. But, you know, it's not like the internet doesn't give you other choices. To the point, sometimes I wish it wouldn't. But it does, so you have choice. I'm just coming here and kind of highlighting that. And you can kind of see that's really what is that. That's sort of shading the eyeball itself, isn't it? Grab a little bit of blue here. I'm just coming along under here. Just working these back and forth, right? We just kind of... Yes, is that a lot of thought for the eyeball? Yeah, probably, but I like making this much thought for the eyeball. Let's call that a step, and I'm going to dry it, and we'll continue on. Oh, yeah, Stephanie's like, I finally found that Dritz tool for less than $25. Stephanie, I'm going to figure out how to get that Dritz tool in our store for a reasonable amount of money.
We'll work on that next. It's
we'll figure that out. I don't know how to do that yet, but we'll figure it out and we'll get it in the store for, because that's ridiculous. Like, it should be much less.
Yeah, we will totally see what we can do on that because it's a really straightforward thing. And I imagine that if You can't find it on Amazon. You could probably find it on eBay, or just in the world at large, like on just some random people's, website. So just hit Google Shopping and try looking for it. That might give you some leads. But we will work on getting this stuff in there and trying to keep it at a very regulated price. One of the things that we've been given the gift of is being able to open a store that can service our community first, and that's kind of our commitment is to put you guys as our priority, so that we'll have a store for a long time. So
Can Cinnamon take some time to tell her story? Okay, I just need to know whose story.
Which Cinnamon?
My story?
It's the Art Sherpa
It's a long story. It's why I haven't done a Draw My Life. I'm like, that'd be an hour-long, 2-hour video, Draw My Life, if I went back to birth. And then I have kids, so I have to redact most of the 20s. Definitely the last half of the teens would be like, redacted. I mean, Gen X, right? Everything's redacted. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? No, my parents didn't.
Yeah, it was,
So whose story am I talking about?
Well, in either case, the story will have to be saved for another day.
Carly says, are they still on Roku TV? I can't find them. Are we still on Roku?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it's on my TV. I'm on Roku.
Well, we'll double check it today and make sure that I haven't missed something. But everything is set for auto payment and auto renew. So unless I just missed something obvious, everything should be working.
Yeah, it should be. I'm just sipping my coffee before I move on.
Okay, you just
That's all we're doing. I'm just sipping some coffee. Hang in. I'm just sipping some coffee. I'm powered by coffee, but first coffee. Oh, my life story. No, that's a long story. But that's out there. That is published a bunch of places, and I should have a Wikipedia. I think there's been noise about that, so maybe. Yep. I mean, I get searched a lot. It's really interesting to Google search yourself, you do, and it does the auto prompt. People want to know how old I am, how much money I make, how old you are, if you're my husband, who's my mother, and where the brushes are, and some other weird stuff that I'm like, really? You want to know? That's such a strange thing to know. 52. John's my husband. And money, how much money do I make? Not a lot, but enough. And I'm grateful for it. I make enough. We make enough to cover our bills and take care of our family. And honestly, in the world today, that's just a blessing. We don't make Mr. Beast money or YouTube money. That's not our thing. We've never been about that stuff.
We could tell you.
I'm not against money. And if a bunch comes to me, I'm not going to be sad, y'all. I'm just saying.
Well, I can tell you how we live. We haven't owned a new car since we didn't have kids, since before we were heading to kids. That was the last new car we bought, was the XB.
No, because we had in Canada.
But was it new?
No, your Mini.
Right. That's right. We bought a new Mini in Canada, but after
that was 8 years ago.
So that was just kind of put perspective on it. It was a 2000.
But that was a John only car, not a family car, and
I had a really good job at that time. Yeah. But since right now we have a 2007 used Toyota with 190,000 miles on it.
Works good.
Works great. We love it. We're not going to get rid of it until we get a new Toyota that will be newer.
But there's no point because we're going to Ireland.
Right. We shop at the mall and the Kohl's, and we look for bargains like everybody else. We have a small team of people who work for us that we love, and we love them.
I get to go to Torrid, but I do use my Torrid points and my rewards for sure. My Sephora points and my Sephora rewards for sure. So again, we're okay. We got food on the table and stuff like that. And again, I mean, I think it's just that a lot of people on YouTube really hustle the dollar, and we really are art teachers that got some followers, which we're really grateful for, but we're not hustling the dollar. The art store may change that.
That's right. We're hoping.
We might be we're going to take you on a trip to Switzerland with us to see some free range guinea pigs. That might happen.
That's right. I have a bet though that we will turn any windfall that we receive into a shared experience with all of our people. So because that's always been what we do.
Oh, and then Raquel's like, have we made it to Ireland? We're still on the way to Ireland. Immigration is hard, yo. But we're getting there. We have a good person, and the immigration is really coming through. It just took longer.
It's slow.
Now we're almost up against Acrylic April, so we're having to ask, do we stay to film Acrylic April, which we're kind of doing already. And, we've got NAMTA and stuff like that. So we're just trying to the logistics, but we've also got to get the kids in school.
So yeah, it's all luckily.
All right, I'll go ahead and just use some of that quinacridone here, and then some of that Dox purple and to the Cad red, kind of getting this maybe just a little pinked up. But you don't have to have the quinacridone. Did you give me a new?
I did.
Okay.
We're on the 13th step.
Oh, my least favorite step. All right, so I'm going to come in here, go up the lid a little bit, get into the tear duct. Mine don't work. Let's see.
See, now you're all quiet. It's like, talk,
Yep.
talk,
So
talk,
I'm
talk.
putting in this inner lid. I know I was. Because I'm thinking, I'm putting in this inner lid line, and I want to give a little extra thickness here at the corner, but then I kind of drop it down into a thinner ridge there on that line there. Don't put your brush in the coffee. Don't push your brush in the coffee. I'm going to go ahead and get a little more white involved into this mix over here, just to have a slightly brighter highlight that will come into the eye. This isn't the water highlight per se, but it is a lighter highlight that we might. And I need to kind of blend that out a bit so I can tap my brush up and down. See, there's a lot of ways to blend. I should just do like every way you can blend paint. Again. I probably would tell that story even better now, though. Right, just trying to make sure that there's some... I love shading me some. I'll come back with more of that. Now I'm going to put my big brush, my number 10 down and get my number 1 monogram liner up again. And I'm going to go ahead and take a little of my Phthalo Blue over to my Dox Purple. I'm going to come in on the inside of that line. And I'm going to make a fine line of sort of shadow along the lid line. That's sort of where the eyeball tucks in. Right? Now I have to come back and pull it out a bit. So I'll come back here and I'll add a little bit of a highlight there. There we go. Just lightening that up a bit. A little bit of a highlight right there along the lash line. Just a little bit of a highlight. I could just have eye classes. I really could. I'm going to take a little bit of my Phthalo Green and Phthalo Blue together. I'm going to add much more Phthalo Green to it though, because I do want it to remain green. And I'm going to come here and round out my eye color. And come across. I know I'll be glazing across here, but I might as well come in with the green now because I know that that's what I'm going to have. I can come into my black and I make a little bit of a curve. I actually won't paint the whole pupil, which is interesting. I will get a little of my black over to my green. And I get kind of this green gray. So some of it is pure black and some of it is a little bit grayed, which I think is kind of an interesting way to approach it. I'm going to bring a little yellow and Phthalo Green together. And I'm going to come here and make a little U under the eye of this slightly lighter color. Comes around up the back. And we like that very much. Back into the deep green. Liking that very much. Now I've got to get into my Phthalo Blue and Dioxazine Purple. I'm going to come up over the lid. And I think I'm going to kind of do a nice little liner. I'm brilliant at one eye, so it's the other side that is so hard.
There's some hair in the way, so that makes it easy.
That's right. That's what I did.
Now, you had some suggestions when doing symmetry.
Yeah, we have a video with rainbow eyes, but one of the things is if you're trying to be symmetrical, do your weak side first and then bring it over to your strong side, because it'll be easier for you to match with your strong side of your blend than it would be to go to your strong side and then try to match with your weak side. So like when you do whether you're doing an eyeliner on your eye or you're just drawing an eye, one side, like I'm stronger using doing my right eye than I am the left eye. Just true facts.
True facts of the Art Sherpa.
True facts. True facts. So we're going to come and add a little bit of a dark blend under here. You guys have this. You guys really, really have this. And I kind of finger blended it there to kind of blend it down, and I do like that. I don't hate that. Now I'm going to dry this, and we're going to come back and put in the next part.
Yeah, so just thoroughly dry between steps here. Make sure it's dry. That will make sure that when you're doing the next ones, you don't get any smears, or you can build up the lighter layers, and that's going to be pretty important as we move on, because acrylic paint is really about the layers. So, but yeah, I really like this. It's turning out really cute. I like the freckles. So, there we are.
Okay, so I'm going to take my Phthalo Blue and some glaze. And some more glaze. And I'm going to come kind of under the lid and make a shadow. So what I'm saying is that this lid cast a shadow down on the eye. I'm going to get a lot of yellow and very little of my green and make a bright yellow green. Coming up inside this eye here, so that's just gotten a little bit brighter, and that does glow it a lot. I might get some glaze going again. And I might come into the eye and kind of glaze it with that yellow green, but it's a glaze, it's not a full tint, okay? So it's just letting some show through. That's sort of another kind of milking in the eye. I'm going to take a lot more yellow into my green. I'm going to add some white. And come there to the under part of the eye. And that's how you get that glowing in the eye. Now I may go back to my number 10 Textura brush. So this is the number 1 liner from Princeton Select. I'm going to come over into my Textura brush And I'm going to go ahead and get into my Phthalo Blue and Dox Purple. Might be a little bit of a glaze on that. I'm going to come to my brow. And that's where the nose is joining up above the eye. And I'm going to follow that arc. Very fine line. Pamela Anderson fine. Boy, I watched, you know, if you watch any of the stuff about Pamela, you should watch the documentary where she puts it in her own words. And I have to say, you know, like having seen what happened to Britney and just these different celebrities and what happened to Pamela. She is a survivor.
Yeah.
Just continue on. It's an amazing woman. I'm just lining it over here. So you see it's a little bit darker, a little bit wetter here, and it fines out here. I haven't put the individual hairs in yet. That will be later. That will be later. Now while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and get some of my black on my one liner. And I'm going to come in from the outside of my nostril. And I'm going to just do a deep shadow on my nose, which you're going to see actually does quite a lot. I only add the black sort of to the outer pearl of the nose just to imply that those nostrils are sort of deep. I might come here and kind of add a little bit back so that we're like, oh, like we can kind of see how, but we want them to stay dark. So even that lighting, not that light. Not that light. All right, this is looking pretty good now. I'm going to grab a little of my black and I'm going to mix it into my Phthalo Blue and Dioxazine Purple. I'm going to come along the eyebrow and I'm going to do little upward marks. Ooh, that one got a little bit long. Just come along here pushing that out. Kind of gives that a little bit of definition. Along that little eye line there. That's not bad. We're doing pretty good. I like that a lot. Come in and get a little of my white into my blue and purple. It's blue and purple, right? Makes that sort of cool indigo that we're using on the eye, but I need a light one. Sometimes I'll wipe off my brush just to get the pigment off and then just continue to light. And I'm going to come here and come above the eye right there. I might even lighten in the liner. So I've highlighted here, here, and here coming up. Go ahead and add a little bit of a reflection right there. A little bit of a reflection above the eye. And a little bit in the eye. See how that creates an interesting light set? Maybe a little here and a little here. A little irregular reflection right there. And then across the eye there. I'm going to also come here to the nose. And at first, just do a very, very, very light, very, very, very light. Kind of thought about reflection on that nose. And then one above the lip here. A little bit at the corner of the mouth. I might get more pure white on here and just do a little in that lip. Just of the bright light. And then highlight here. A little more highlighted maybe for the chin. I might need to like come into this, soften it out on that chin, right? So it's more of a diffuse light. I want it to be there, but I don't want it to be specifically very hot. There we go. Glow. Not a shine, but a glow. I'm going to give this a glow. Not a shine, but a glow. See that glow on the inner nose? The glow here. And then there's more of like a shine there. That's a big deal for sure. All right. Guys, look at that. Dude, we are... She's so much better even this time.
Yeah.
I should paint things 3 times.
Wow. It's turning out so nice.
Sherman Element says, oh, I'm so excited. I did not realize I could restart this from the beginning. Yay! Yeah, you can stop, restart, play back again, wait for the mini book. Remember, I switched my neck on the first episode, so don't make my mistake. All right. Do you put up a step?
Oh, I was waiting for you to.
Ah, it's okay.
There we go.
So I'm going to do an interesting thing here. I'm going to take a little bit of my Cad Red and a little Dioxazine Purple, and I'm going to work them together. Ooh, got a little into my glazing medium because it's smooshed out. It's not that it's terrible, it's just smooshed out. Okay. And I'm also going to get into a little of my red and yellow. So first, I'm kind of come along here. Start to think about how this unusual kind of glow at the neck. And if you see it now, you're like, oh, that really is kind of wild. I'm going to just blend this out with my brush. Use some glazing medium to get, you know, that nice transition. If I need to, I can always come back into my handy dandy blender. This is a number 12 round blender by Princeton. And does it do clouds? Yes, as we well know. Does it do nice skin transitions? Yes, as we well know. It also blends weird shadow reflections because that's its nature. And come in and again blend it out. I love the blending I might get a little glaze on here, and then I come up the back side of the face. Kind of interesting that also. Come back with a little bit of our purple skin tone. Oh, that's nice. I like it. Okay, I'm going to come in with my yellow and red, kind of making an orange, and I'm going to come along my drips, kind of lining them. There we're doing, just kind of making that highlighter, that crazy glow. That's about, a lot of this is about color theory. I actually created the color palette, the colors I wanted to use, before I actually even did the first like value sketch of the nose or the mouth. I went into what colors do I want to use. And I think that's why this, I've been doing that a lot more lately, and I think it's really helped the artwork a lot. Making color decisions early on, and then design decisions. So this is cad yellow and cad red, making kind of a cad orange. And you can see, like, even coming in on those lines, that does do like an interesting thing. Now again, every time you do drips, there'll be little differences, right? But I can still pay attention, like, oh, you know, maybe this area might be more filled in, or finding interesting spaces to put that kind of drama on. I'm going to come over here, I haven't even rinsed out, to my red and purple. Blend with my little blender brush here. A little more purple in that corner. It just kind of creates an interesting little glow, I think. I may go ahead and take a little of my Dioxazine Cad Red and my titanium white, and I think I'm going to trim this a little bit. Yeah, I think that gives just a nicer line. And I'll go ahead and blend that back out. I know I'm going to be back with the blender brush over here in a little bit, but I can still kind of work making sure that this isn't that change. See, that just gave a nicer line is what I think. And if I think it, then I should listen to my inner artist, right, guys? And I should go ahead and give it a go. I can always change my mind back, as we've learned more in this painting than any other painting. But you can change your mind. You can be like, this isn't right, or you can look at it for a day or two and then be later, you know, I don't really love how it is, and then change it back to what it was. This is acrylic paint. It's not oil. It's not watercolor. So we change our minds much easier. That's one of the benefits of acrylic. Look at that go. All right. All right, here we go. I think that is that step, and I think that's looking really good. Again, I like her better. I think the planes of shading ended up even being more what I was trying to even go for. Ah, good times. We're gonna dry everything.
So yeah, thoroughly dry here. I think that we're gonna start seeing the. She's asking me, I think, for coffee. She's indicating that there's coffee needed. You know what that means? That means I'm going to be quiet for a little while making coffee. It's okay because I prepped it from before the show. I kind of knew this was coming, so I was coffee prepared, if one would be such a thing. So, yeah. I was getting ready to have a little monologue, but I guess you're all done, so I'll go make coffee.
Do you want a monologue? I don't want to stop your monologue. You like monologuing.
No.
You like it so much. I don't want to take away your joy from you.
Nope. Here you go.
Your purpose.
Do you want to step, or do you want me to? Do you need to talk? Are you good?
I'm gonna talk for a minute, and I think I need to make some coffee.
I'm making coffee, but I just know if you need to talk before.
I'm gonna talk a little bit. So what John's making me coffee. Let's talk a little bit about the big things that prevent us from being artists. Well, we know that not having the skills to execute our imagination is definitely a big thing that can stop us from being an artist. But that's a really correctable thing, and that's really under our control. We can go practice, like I talked about steps and stages. I picked colors. I did value studies. There were things that I did to be more successful at this. And look, even from the original painting to this painting, just repainting, I think took her, and you can see the original and her there, and you can see that she's just better, right? So that's under my control. If I panic in a painting because a mistake happened, that's under my control. There are things that it can impact us as an artist. I'll tell you in a second, Stephanie. That's a good question. There are things that can impact us as an artist that are not under our control. Sometimes our health. Sometimes we have pain and limitations, not under our control. That's just stuff is happening. There are events happening in our lives. It's the beginning of the school year. We have kids we're worrying about. We have things we're juggling. That's not under our control, right? Like that's part of life. Like there's things that are happening in your life that are part of the cogs and wheels of the universe that are outside of your control. And those things can also greatly impact your ability to paint. For me, toxic, dangerous people in my life, right, where they have access to me, throws my ability off to paint completely. And I can't control, as my therapist has pointed out to me a bunch of times, because I try to mediate a lot, how other people act or behave, right? You can't control what's on the news. You cannot control the craziness that the world has decided to embrace. You can't. I think when I haven't talked to a person face to face who wasn't well, that's not true. I have some family members that are not reasonable, but my mom is great. But I think most people you run into, talk to face, they're just here. Like everybody is here just trying to get by, just trying to feed families, just trying to buy eggs, You can't control that part of the world. And it's okay when those things are impactful and there isn't something wrong with you that gets to you. That is really hard for your creative space. So keep in mind, if you have things that are out of your control that throw off your creative space, if you have a way to mitigate that, like you have a pain management strategy, or you got to turn off the news a little bit, do those things. Now, Stephanie asked when the color mixing course is started. So we have a good portion of it filmed. John is getting into editing. My goal is to have it starting after the hummingbirds, maybe sooner. He says maybe a week. I don't know. John always has optimistic John gives me deadlines the way Elon Musk gives deadlines. We're going to have this talking, dancing. This is a guy in a suit, but next year we're going to have an actual whole robot. Sorry. So I'm Elon Musk's feelings. I don't know the guy, so it doesn't matter. And I'm not invested in the company, so also doesn't matter. Though he didn't make my Twitter sadder. Yeah, I think I'm hoping soon. I'm hoping optimistically in a week, but realistically probably before the end of February. I want to be able to have the whole course available to you in March and have you have ample time to finish it before Acrylic April, because I think it will make Acrylic April easier. That's why I went to the trouble of because what did I need? A whole new course? Did I need a whole new course? I think I needed a whole new course, like a hole in the head, but I knew that this year's Acrylic April, which I've been asked to do so many years, and I have avoided for all the fear reasons that you have, I think it will make everybody easier. It's time-wise, it won't be like water and landscape, okay, guys? It's not like that. These videos are not as long, but I think for asking us to do new skills and think in new ways, not having to worry about the color mixing will make you very happy. And have some new ways to offer the course to you that's more sequential and ordered. In fact, we're going to go back and be able to re-offer the beginner acrylic painting course in a way where it's easier to find things like the resources, go through it sequentially, get your certificate. Everything is significantly much easier. Past acrylic Aprils, this acrylic April, and this course will all become easier things. And 13 Days of Halloween and the Winter Wonder programs will be easier. All right, let's throw up a step and we will continue on. We're going to paint some hair, and it's going to be there. All right, I'm going to get into some Dioxazine Purple and Cad Red. It's okay that a little white gets in it. I don't mind. I might mix some stronger purple in. I'm using my number 10 Textura. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make a strong S stroke from not quite the center of the painting, but over to the left. And it's going to just have a nice little flow to it. See how we got that there? And another little following stroke. Now, I may move it over some, and I may move my shadow over some. I had kind of put them in just guesstimatingly, but you know, I like to, it's easier to add paint than take away paint. So I think it's important to be aware of that. Now I might go a little bit more into my little purple here. See, that's quite dark. And I'm going to blend that down. I'm going to go ahead and load some more on my brush. And I'm going to come over here and also flow out an S curve. I like to use S curve strokes on hair because hair tends to flow like water, and I find it's a useful way to kind of get representing it. Now, I don't need to have it completely everywhere because, you know, we've got the flowers and everything coming in, and there's no point in doing the best painting of my life when I'm going to paint something right over it. But I do want to start getting some of that in. And I may even pull a bigger brush in to, let's take my filbert. This is a great filbert. This is a number 6 Simply Simmons filbert. All right, here we go. So there we've got that filled in. Looks good already, doesn't it? She looks good already. I'm on number 4 right now. Sherpa different colors came into play. Sorry. You know, I loved Angela Maxwell wrote me. She's like, I'm sorry this happened to you. She's like, it's a full moon. Stuff is weird. I was having a weird day. I won't lie. It was a weird day, but you don't want to cancel a live show that's been on the books for months over a weird day. You just kind of figure out how to make it go. I'm going to curve little bangs down as you do. Why did I want little bangs? I don't know. I did. Okay. So there we go. The basis of the hair. Now I'm going to come in and get a little white and Cad Red into that mixture, making a lighter color. I don't worry about drying it because sometimes mixing wet into wet is a good thing. I'm going to come along the front of my S stroke there, creating a highlight. And the front of my S stroke there, creating a highlight. Now the trick with hair is you're not painting individual hairs, you're painting the flow and directionality, and you're painting the way light catches the hair and shadow is in the hair. So don't feel like you've got to do every individual little hair when you're painting hair. Very often you just need to do some. And some is fun. That's looking really good. I'm going to add a lot more white to the mix. Curl some in here. That's nice, isn't it? That little highlight is just lovely. Oh, that's going to be noisy. Oh, don't worry about it. I mean, you can take care of it, but I'm just running in a little bit of interference here. I think it's okay because we're in deep into painting. You're only this far into this painting if you're really into this painting. I'm wondering, I hope some people do this painting. I've seen some people try to do it without the tutorial. So I'm hoping some people give this a try with the tutorial. By the way, it doesn't upset me or offend me when you guys do a painting without the tutorial. I love when you all feel ready for that. I'm just doing some little curves here. And that little curve there helped define the directionality of that hair, didn't it? Now I know I've got a lot of flowers. I've only got some hair peeking out up here. So the thing to be aware of is that I'm not trying to paint all the hair. I've just got to paint what can be seen. All right. That is looking pretty good. Now I am going to dry this and I'm going to mute it because John is doing rug stuff. But that is okay. My mom has a gorgeous rug she's having delivered. So I won't make you listen to my hair dryer. And you let anyone who pops in know that there's an actual show with sound.
She muted herself. Okay, so I didn't realize that was going on there. So we had some at the door, and I came over here. So I gave her a bunch of buttons so she can do some of this stuff in an emergency. And see, there it is. I got you, Cinnamon. It's okay. Oh, she's holding the button down. So it's
I unmuted by accident.
there you go.
Too soon.
That's right. I got you. Whenever I come back in here, I can control it. So
okay.
You ready for a new step?
Yeah, let's give it another step.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and start putting in, I want to start putting in my flowers, and then I can look at what's really showing on my hair that I might want to consider an extra layer on, if any. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take a round brush. This is my, my number 10 round. And I'm going to go ahead and get some, actually let's start with the green. Green is always a fun one to start with. And then we'll layer up with the blue. I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow and my phthalo green together, making some very bright kind of vibrant colors. They're super fun colors. Maybe even get a little white into it. And I'm going to come here, and what we do is we do a touch pull stroke, right? So the tip of the brush is just going to touch, and it leaves a little teardrop effect. Right? And that's how you do that. You just use a round brush to get this. And we're just pulling that right there. It's just a little bit of green, bright lemon yellow green. If you painted with me for a minute, you know this is a touch pull stroke, and it's one that we do quite a lot. There we go. It's just a lot of fun. Again, you don't necessarily have to have a solid covering because we've got the flowers coming in, but we'll just have this idea that there is this green fall. Oh, perfect. It's perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect. You're perfect. He's perfect. Let's drink a little bit of my protein shake. Karen is loving on her children, which I love. I love my children too. I'm definitely like many of you, mama bear over my kids. I do not tolerate my kids being messed with. I love them a bunch. They're good people, and I'm proud of who they are. I'm going to continue to load up some of this lemon yellow green, and I might drip a little of that down there if that's necessary. Going to add a little bit. I know I've got the yellow mostly coming down here, but I'll go ahead and put in some of the green before the yellow gets in. That is to the side of her face, right? Because we're going to have like almost like the petals coming out the side of her face. Coming over a little bit. Each leaf gets bigger as it goes up. They're tiny here. I make them tiny by pressing less hard. Don't press as hard. And then as I come up, I increase my brush pressure. There we go, a nice little cascade of the green. Now I've got to dry that completely.
Just make sure you thoroughly dry between those steps. Drink your coffee if you've got it. Don't use heat. And for me, I might have to make sure that everything is ready to go for the next step. Because I was making coffee, doing other things. Coffeeing. But I think we're okay. Coffeeing. Ooh, it's getting so close. Just looking over where we're at.
Ooh, that's a good question Ramona asks. And I know who can answer that.
You know, I think that we're this is so amazing. I'm so happy with how this is coming along. A little hair.
Yeah, I like her much better in this moment. I do. I like her much better in this moment. And I'm really happy with how she came out. Ramona asks, is this the most steps ever in a tutorial? I actually think that I have more steps maybe in like the Christmas Stallion or the dress than this.
I don't. So
but you know who will know is the moderators who help us with the mini books will know what mini book has the most steps.
Well, what I can say is that we're about to hit the number where I don't have any more programmed after that. And I'm debating on whether or not I scramble to make new ones. Like I don't have a 19th step made.
I would. I think it's going to be in the 20s.
Or do we start over at number 1?
Don't really care. I'm going to make some turquoise for my next step.
We got the next one is 18.
I love how I'm not all sympathetic. I don't really care. You have to work that out yourself.
Get to work.
All right. I'm going to make some turquoise, which is my Phthalo Blue and my Phthalo Green together. I want it to be fairly light, so I'm going to add a lot of white to it. And I'm going to come here and repeat again. Those steps. Same leaf steps that we did before. Yeah, I would scramble and make some, babe.
Oh, don't worry about it. It'll be okay.
Okay. I don't know. See, I don't know really what it is. Sometimes John does the Scotty to me, like from Star Trek, where he pretends that the ship's engine is going to go completely down and only he can keep it together. But then I'll look at it, I'm like, that is not nearly as crazy as you said that was. Now you can see that this is a nice balance, the turquoise and the green are lovely to put together, and I'm going to definitely add some more of these lovely leaves. Right, because I have that nice, whoa, I lost my screen.
I know, me too. It's okay. You got it. Wait,
I don't have it back.
that went weird.
Do we have show still?
That's yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's that. That was a power thing that went weird.
While I have my turquoise out and my white out, I'm going to take a little bit of my white into my turquoise. Make sure that I don't have an extra water drop on here. And while this is having a dry, take my #1 monogram liner and add some little highlights. To that part of the hair in the bangs. I may come back and take some of the turquoise out, but I just know I needed that in the bangs. And since the color was here already, why not? You know? I'll go ahead and kind of do a little highlight down the little curl of hair there as well. Now I'll come back with my #4 and my purple and red. And make sure that has nice flow from the top. There we go. That looks good. Just trying to make my highlight be... Sometimes I will come back and, you know, thin a highlight. That's just a thing I will do. There we go. Give that hair a little bit of flow. Now let's dry this, and we're going to come back and paint some flowers. That sounds fun.
That's that. I like when we get to the flower steps. That's the best steps. But yeah, I have our next step ready. One of the wonderful things is sometimes, you know, it's like anything technical. If you're prepared and you've done a whole bunch of stuff in advance, and even when things kind of go wrong, you have some backup plans and stuff ready to go. And in this case, we have that. We have a whole lot of processes which should make us be able to be flexible. It's like, you know, to not, you know, it's like sometimes things are complicated to make things new, and some things are not. Like step 19, a little more harder to make than one would think, but it's possible.
Clearly, this is who I wish I was. I'm going to take a maybe smaller filbert. This is a #4 Isabey Isacryl. I'm going to go ahead and get some clean yellow and some white. And a little bit of red, loosely mixed. I'm going to come right here, press down and pull in. Then I'm going to kind of pull the opposite direction. So you see we pull kind of curving to the right, and then we curve to the left. I may come in and get a little red. Maybe a little bit more orange right here. And get my yellow going again, and I'm going to come right here. So sometimes I curve my filbert on my side, and sometimes I pull it out, and I'm using the shape of the filbert to do my flowers. This is a very friendly, beginner-friendly way to be able to deal with your flowers. And I'm going to make some little downward drops. put some colors, you know, here and there around, right? You can see me wiping off my brush. I'm not removing all yellow pigment, but I will sometimes, you know, wipe off some of the brush just to lessen it. Coming here and curving out some more of these, maybe get more into the orange. I know what I'm having to do after the show probably is admire my mom's new rug. Do you feel that could be coming, John?
I saw them. They were actually really pretty.
I bet they are. Just a little bit there, kind of coming out. Not my only way of doing this, so generally these will have some more shading to them as well. Kind of curving this in. So you can see there's a right curve, and then I flip it over to the left curve. Just putting those around. Now, we have to dry thoroughly.
Yeah, these flowers as they come in, it's really important with the yellows, especially as you see how it's we got some of the paint got a little thick there. You want to make sure that it gets thoroughly dry there so that when you're coming in on your next layers, you don't, especially with like the white pen, you don't smear those or pick them up with the brush tip. You know, that's sort of those little things that make a difference.
I'm going to take my
Is this
number.
Another step?
Yes, I'm going to take my number. There's many steps.
You have an infinite number of numbers that you can just keep using
yes.
on an infinite.
Yes, I think those things.
That's how math works. Darn it.
I am taking a little bit of my yellow and white in my number 4 round, and I'm going to come here a few places and just add those highlights.
It's not like I have to put in hard work to make each of these steps for you.
I mean, you say it's hard work, but just adding a little bit of the yellow-white highlight to some of the teardrops. That works out pretty well. That's dimensional. Then I'm going to take, same brush, a little bit of my Dioxazine Purple, and it can be some Cad Red, but I want it to be quite dark. Tapping up and down. Tapping up and down. Cad Red, Dioxazine Purple. Got a little excited about tapping up and down there, but that's okay. Let's just have a bigger center. So we've got that going right there. You know, and while it's still wet, I might come in with a little bit of my Cad Red and come in on the toe of the brush, kind of blending into the purple. Just a little bit of subtle dimensionality until we get the white involved. Now I'm going to go back to my filbert. And I'm going to come here at the edges and add another little coat to the tips of the petals. See how we're doing? Not all the way back. Some of these yellow and white. Mixing it around. Okay. Now, just put some of that there because I feel like it needs to be. We'll have to tuck some green in as well once the flowers are in, but we've got to really get them in. So we're going to dry everything and come back and put the next part of the flower in. We're going to fold it over and make it a whole complete flower.
The other parts of the flower, because you have to do the flowers in the layers. And that's the wonderful thing about acrylic, is that you can layer it. And then once all these layers are done, we're going to come back in with the highlighting layers. Man, this has just turned into a super cute face. I liked it a lot. I like all the second time around things she just does. She more little tunes here and there, more little changes here and there. It just turns out really nice. So, I'm really happy.
Sorry. I'm obviously having too much fun. I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow and white together.
You're going to need another step.
I am. Mix it over here. Kind of loading up. Now the trick is I've got to come in and not completely paint out my center, and I've got to round my petals to close it up. So see how that comes in and closes it up? There we go, closing up those petals. It's kind of a curl. If you didn't do the floral, if you didn't do acrylic April flowers, right? You might not have seen this before, but if you've done acrylic April flowers, you've seen this before. And if you'd like to know how to do this easier, I highly recommend doing acrylic April flowers. It's free and it's available anytime. I'm just adding a little bit of white. I think I may come here and do that as well. I can rinse that out, and I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of my yellow. And a little green. And just make sure that there's a layering there that feels complete. So I just tuck that in on that flower, and I may tuck some in here. Just wherever you think you need a little more, you put it in. Guess what? We're going to dry everything, and then we're getting on to the last step, which is the Posca pen step.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, can you believe we got through it? I can barely believe we got through it.
This is really turning into something cool. I think the last step here with the pen is going to be so neat. It's going to make everything just go pop, pop, pop. And if you don't have a Posca pen, I think you can use, a brush, fine line brush. You'll probably be okay there. So don't feel like you have to use that. But acrylic pens that are a little different than like permanent pens or other kind of pens, because they actually squirt out acrylic ink, which will stick on top of acrylic ink, which some other dyes, or I should say inks won't.
Oh, and guess what? I totally lied.
Oh, what's that?
Posca pen step is not the last.
I kind of figured that. It was like weird.
I've got to drop a shadow under the hair and on the far side here with my blendy brush. So I'm going to take a little of my Dioxazine Purple and my Cad Red and my Glazing medium and make a dark color. And I'm going to come on the side of my surface, and I'm using my number 12 round blender by Princeton. And I'm going to make a little bit of some drama right there. And I may go ahead and get a little of the blue. Actually, this blue and purple is good. And load it on here. And I'm going to just make sure that I've got a good shadow. Kind of blend it under that hair so that the hair is casting a shadow on the face. Now I rinsed my brush out and I'm kind of picking that up. So I want the shadow to go off my face. But I just really, really, really want the hair to have enough weight that it does cast a shadow on the face. And I think that that's an important part of it having the weight that it has. There we go. See that beautiful shadow? It's important to catch. You got to have as many shadows as light. Okay, now I'm going to try it again, babe. I'm sorry. And then Posca.
That's okay. So there's just little layers that happen. And you know what? She may decide that she needs more layers just to keep me on my toes. But you know what? I am a step ahead of her because I got my steps ready. Da-da-da. Man, we were watching a chicken guy today who had more chicken puns than I thought existed. I was so impressed with his dad joking about chickens. He's an Australian guy who just had more chicken puns than he had chickens.
He's a hoot. He's a very crazy person.
He's very funny.
But he's smart about chickens, and he's right. Okay. So I'm going to take a black Posca pen, and I'm going to go ahead and make a line. Come out, and I'm going to create a leaf shape. Make another little leaf shape. Do a little flower. It's a little circle with a little bit of a flower around it. Just kind of working that down here. I'm also going to come kind of into my nose. Maybe exaggerate some of the shadow. Maybe a little bit under the lid. And I also like to come a little bit into the eye to deepen it. When you see it, you'll be like, oh, that's not bad. That's kind of okay. I'm going to come over here. And I'm going to just make a little circle. I'll be coming back with my right, and I'm going to draw like, I don't know, flowers like you used to draw as a kid. Make another little leaf shape. I just like this. I don't know what to tell you. It's a thing I like. We like what we like. Now, on the white Poscas, I only like the 3mm for a fine line, and that is because the 1mm just pours out milky liquid no matter how I shake it or what I do. If you have the solution for that, you're welcome to share it here, but they have frustrated me nonstop. I'm going to come along and outline that petal. And I do kind of a little crepey outline, so they're really, really floral, right? Like they really feel like the little flowers. I'm going to go ahead and tap some little highlight dots on them. And you can see pretty quickly that outlining these really does shape the flower. It's the dark centers, the shape of the brush stroke, and the lining that really, really pulls it all together. I like doing them very much. They're not a Jenkins poppy by any means, but they are a lot of fun. Just white lining patterns in this piece. Why? Because art. That's why. Because I like it. Just lining those things that I made. I like it. You could do this with a fine liner brush, like a liner brush, and white fluid paint, you know, that you thinned out. That would be, if you like that look. You don't have to do this part. You may not everyone is going to love that look. You know, maybe we touch a couple little places to talk about, you know, highlights. And that is okay. Just accenting anything I want, giving it highlight, you know, giving it focus, giving it attention, giving those things to it, and it's like that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and sign this. Shoo, 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 shoo. Because I feel like it. Get my yellow green together. I will come here and very carefully put my little moniker on here. I tend to sign in colors that I used on the piece. It's maybe a little bigger than I would like, but I think that's okay. So that's how we do that crazy painting that you guys asked me about. Now, sometimes I might put up time lapses of designs and be like, no, it's a lot of a lesson. Or maybe make it patron only. But you guys were so excited about this. I wanted to put this up because many of you were like, how would I paint that? Could I see how that was painted? I just want to know how it was done. And I thought this was a nice use of a weekend just to go show you guys how I created it. How did this come together? You know, I know there were some weird moments with it and stuff like that. I actually like this one better than the first one. And you can kind of see those against each other. I actually like her face much better the second time. That's just me. It's really all up to you. You guys have the traceables, so you're covered either way. You know, be brave in your art. Take on big challenges. Try difficult things. Do something different. Decide to paint a face and pick the color palette and do practices and to just go for it because you'll do it. It doesn't have to appeal to somebody else. I understand as artists, when we're making a living, we do have to think about somebody else in relationship to our art because you have collectors and, you know, you're trying to eat based on your art. So you do have to be aware of your collector base. But for the purposes of learning how to paint or painting for ourselves in our own studio, you don't really have to answer to anybody else. Whatever else is going on in the world, you don't have to be worried about that in any way. It is your studio, your space. You have a right to your creative thoughts and ideas, and nobody has a right to take it from you. That's just facts, as declared by me. Guys, I really appreciated you coming to this two-part show. Dance Recital says, how are you doing today? And I'm going to believe, I hope Dance Recital, what is your very favorite flavor of ice cream? God, just want to make sure you're not an AI. I don't know that's true. I'm
Who
just being
knew
funny.
robots liked pistachio?
Who knows where it was? I mean, that's what you got. Actually, they're smart enough now. That doesn't even work. If I asked the AI, it would be like, oh, my very. Some of them are programmed to be honest, where they're like, I don't eat ice cream. But John was talking to one, and he was like, who are you? And it was like, I'm a programmer.
No, I said, are you GPT-3? And it said no. I said, okay, who are you? Is it, I'm a software programmer. I was like,
Been
okay.
hit with a lot of software questions that day. I imagine it was feeling a little punchy.
I thought that was
GPT
funny.
3 is different than GPT chat. GPT chat is very locked down in what it is allowed to say and how it is allowed to answer your questions. Not that it isn't wrong a lot, but it's different than GPT 3, who's allowed to be a little more expressive. However we feel about it. Saddle is definitely a person if they're struggling with Posca pens. My Posca pens don't work when I use them. What do I do? Have you started them correctly? Okay, so like the first question I would ask is when you start a Posca pen, and I don't know if, let's see, you can see this. I'm going to flip this over and John's going to zoom in. So when you're starting a Posca pen.
Oh, you want a fresh canvas, or are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Actually, I can start a fresh Posca. What am I doing? Why am I aggravating you with this? Let me start a fresh Posca.
Okay.
So I'll start a fresh Posca for you. Because, hey, what else are we doing but hanging out together? So this is a Posca I haven't started yet. It's the 3mm. It comes out. You see the nib is white. It's not going to work for a while. So I've got to hold down the pen. I've got to compress it gently and hold it down. Oh, and I also have to shake the heck out of it. See? And it's down. So as long as you've gotten through that stage, if they're still not working, they haven't ever failed on me. In my time. And if I started them correctly and I haven't put them in crazy heat or haven't done something, you know, really unexpected with them, I would write Posca specifically because I gave these pens to 150 amateur artists to do on rocks and the pens were still working after. They are very effective pens. If you really hate Posca, I like Edding. Edding has a paint pen that I will be carrying in my store that I like a lot as well. And it has an easier load and an easier offload. And I think they may give Posca. Oh, it's Jackson! Hi, Jackson! How are you doing? So that's us here. We know our community. We know them. So that would be what I would look at is if you've used them correctly and you haven't abused them, and you've opened them correctly and you started them correctly, then that's something Posca definitely has to take care of. And if you really, really hate it, and then I haven't tried them, and you can go check out Stephanie Bergeron over at Deliberately Creative. She tested some of the Arteza ones and liked them okay. I don't generally recommend Arteza, just because I don't really know why. I just don't, because I don't use it. That's okay, but you can check other artists who've used it. I always check with other artists that have used it. Check with people who've used a product. I struggle to weigh in on a product I haven't used a lot, just because I don't have experience to know its ins and outs, its tricks, its different stuff. Edding I've used and loved. Posca I've used and loved. So those two I've had really good experience with. And then, of course, the Holbein loadable pens are amazing, and you just load them with golden paint. Pretty terrific. But those are ones where you mix the color yourself and you load it out yourself. And, of course, the script liners by Abstract Acrylic are great. So I have so many recommendations, don't I, today? So many recommendations. This is fantastic. I love you guys. I want you to be good to yourselves and be good to each other. And I want to see you at Anisa really soon. Bye-bye.